back in 2019, Geely dropped a bombshell of a car in the form of this guy, the Geely Coolray. Now, we were quite impressed with it and gave it a great review back then. And even today, it's still quite impressive because it's mind-boggling how Geely was able to keep the price of this guy so darn low. But here's a quip. With the ever-present concept of sulit and an enduring amount of quality, with a name that you soon won't forget, this is Geely's MPV, the 2021 Okavango Urban. Now, Geely calls this guy wonderfully distinct. And I do believe that they're onto something because they must have hit the conga drum on the head with this guy because, well, to be honest with you, the front clip is actually quite good looking. While boxier than the Coolray or Ascara, it still has an all-LED affair up front which gets really bright along with fog lamps and LED turn signals and DRLs up here. Now trust me dude, if you are in an African safari or better yet just any dark street inside the metro, which happens quite often, you'll be glad that the Okavango comes with just great lighting. Other than that, you do also get an expanding Cosmos grills and a tiny little nubbin that actually works better than Chandler Bing's nubbin because that is part of the 360-degree camera. But more on that later. Pop the hood and you are looking at a 1.5-liter turbocharged gasoline engine paired with a mild hybrid system that in total produces 190 horses and 300 Nm of torque. Now, if that engine sounds familiar, well, because it is, it shares the same engine as the top-of-the-line Ascara. The transmission is 7-speed wet DCT. Now, if that sounds familiar, because it shares the same as the Coolray. The thing, though, is that this guy isn't an all-wheel drive system. It's only a front-wheel drive system. And the one other thing I have to point out is that it has a very small fuel capacity tank, which is only 53 liters. But the good news about that is that even in hellish traffic, you get about 7 to 8 kilometers per liter. Not bad. When that clears up, you're getting 13. Even better. Now on the highway, it sails past 16.5 kilometers per liter, which in total is not bad considering the size and the fact that it can carry 7 people. One other thing, just one last thing. When you go to the dealership, if this engine cover looks different from the one that you're looking at, worry not. This is just an engine cover. Everything else underneath is exactly the same. Now, down the side, you get more boxy lines that we did like from up front, and it actually looks pretty darn good. You get 18-inch alloys with 55 series tires. You're looking at 194 millimeters of ground clearance. And on the side, you also get roof rails up on top, repeaters on your heated side mirrors. Now, at the launch, I said that the heated side mirrors were kind of useless in the Philippines, but really, when it rains and it fogs up, that actually is a very big help. You do also have disc brakes all around, ventilated up front, and solid at the rear. Now at the back, it's much flatter. It's not as cut. It resembles sort of like the older Land Rover Discoveries, but in this case, well, a little bit more futuristic. Now, when you open her up, you are looking at 257 liters of space with the third row in play. Really not much, but if you fold the third row, you're looking at 1,200 liters of space. But wait, there's more. If you fold the second row, you're looking at over 2,000 liters of space. And that's big enough for a bed. When I say a bed, I mean a bed. Now, while the bed is great for camping and picnics, we advise you not to drink and park because accidents do happen. Sino dyan? Aminin. Not only is it a breeze to get into the third row, but the space back here is, well, it's not bad. It is the third row. Yes, I understand it's good for small trips and jaunts, but really, it's not bad. Again, like I've mentioned before, I'm not the tallest person on the planet, but there is enough room back here definitely for 2 medium-sized adults. You also get air vents back here that is controlled from the second row. So all in all, I wouldn't want to be stuck here if I was going, let's say, for example, from Manila to La Union or let's say Iloilo to Boracay, but hey, it's actually pretty comfortable back here. Oh, and one last thing, if you need more space, these seats do slide forward, if you ask nicely. Happy 45th birthday, tita, pero sa totoo lang, mukha ka lang 28. Alright. The second row of the Okavango is obviously going to be much more impressive than the third row by a lot because it's got air vents up front, air and temperature controls found right underneath. You've got 2 charging points, a small little cubby hole, ball holders on either door, you got speakers on either door, map lights found up on top. Unfortunately, no center armrest, but that's a good thing in this car because every single person in the second row gets their own chair. This is divided 33-33-33 instead of 60-40. And it's absolutely great because you feel like you've got your own little space back here. I mean, the leg room and headroom is fantastic that you can literally grow wings up in this place and fly around. Wings! I mean, literally, wings! Well, maybe not this guy because he doesn't really fly. He just has a shield that goes kapwing, kapwing. In the driver's seat of the Okavango, getting into your proper driving position, not a problem whatsoever because you have motorized seats. The steering wheel does tilt up and down and is telescopic at the same time. Woohoo! And you also have buttons on the steering wheel, which is flat bottom by the way, that controls a plethora of things found on the digital instrument cluster. And it also changes color too when you change the drive modes with the knob found down here. Now, the 10.25-inch infotainment system in this guy is a QD Link system. Sadly, it doesn't have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but it does have a 360-degree camera that we think is one of the best in the segment. And it also comes with a sound system that has 8 speakers. Yes, 8 speakers. Overall, I gotta say, I do love the interior of the Okavango. It's exquisite, exciting, and yet durable at the same time. You know that if you knock things around, it's not gonna leave a scuff or too bad of a mark. But at the same time, when you get in, every time you get in, it feels like you're driving something new. And that I absolutely love. Speaking of driving, we're gonna do that right now. But before we do, thanks to everyone that has been a subscriber to our channel. And if you do enjoy our videos, do please consider subscribing to our channel. That's one. The second thing I'd like to tell you guys too is that Gino and I actually have a podcast that comes out every Wednesday at 10 a.m. where we talk about anything and everything under the sun, well, including cars and motorcycles. Who knew we'd actually talk about that stuff? But anyway, you might enjoy that too, so please do consider subscribing to both. Now, when you get out on the road, it's actually quite surprising how quiet the Okavango really is. It's a unibody, so you've got that. Then the independent suspension, front and rear. Then the NVH. Wow, it really does well to keep the road noise and even the motor out of the way. It's not bothersome whatsoever. The wind noise, not bothersome at all. It really is a very quiet and refined ride. Whether you're on the bumpy roads, the infamous bumpy roads that we have inside the metro, or you're on the highway, it's just quiet. You know what? It really feels absolutely solid. That's what it is. It feels solid. The other thing that will get you also is just exactly how smooth this engine is. Now, it is a 3-cylinder and you'd expect it to behave like a 3-cylinder, but no, it actually behaves like a 4-cylinder. And then the transition between the gasoline engine and then the 48-volt EMS, it doesn't misbehave at all. It's very well planted, very well behaved, and the engine response is actually not bad at all. Also smooth and compliant is the 7-speed DCT. Yes, there is a bit of a delay, as with DCT, that's a given, you'd expect that. But really, once you get used to it, yeah, sure, there is a bit of a jerk, but eventually you won't even notice it anymore, which makes for great comfort. Though when you ring the motor, it will still definitely surprise you. Okay, it's not a sports car, granted, but the way that it drives and it moves, it's got a lot of pep into it. And you don't expect that from a 7-seater, but yet, here we are. I gotta be honest with you, I thought that driving the Okavango would be a little bit worrisome because of its weight and because of its height. But really, it hasn't proved to be a problem at all, whether on the highway at speed in twisties or in the city. I will say this though, that when you're in the city, you might want to take advantage of the 360-degree camera because, well, it's a little bit longer, especially if you're used to driving much smaller cars. If you've ever driven the Ascara, then you'll be used to the fact that when you release the accelerator pedal, there is some regenerative braking that comes with it to charge the batteries. Now, this is obviously the exact same engine, but what we notice is that they reduced the amount of regeneration that happens here. So when you drive it, it actually feels more like a gasoline engine, especially when you release the accelerator. It just coasts a lot better. Year, Geely launched the Coolray to much success. 6 months later, a bit more upscale with a mild hybrid engine, they had the Ascara. And yet 6 months after that, they decided to volt in or Voltus 5 or do something, but they came out with something great, which is this, the Okavango. You take the price of the Coolray, add to it the mild hybrid engine from the Ascara, add 2 more seats, and bada bim, bada boom, you get yourself the Okavango, priced at 1,328,000 Philippine pesos. Here's the thing, it may be a little bit more expensive than the Coolray, but it's much more affordable than the Ascara. Now, I'm not sure it can traverse through the plains of Africa as its name suggests, but the jungles of Metro Manila, yeah, not a problem.